Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Ramir, psychic lawyer, healer, author here. Today we're going to be talking about the life purpose of Donald Trump. And I don't know why it's been so long. Like I've been just thinking about doing this video for quite a while. And I obviously have not done it because here we are doing it today. Yesterday on my Instagram, if you're not following me there, make sure you're following. I did a poll about, do you want me to do Mamdani or do you want me to do Trump? And it was pretty equal. It was about 56% for Trump. So like this video or let me know down below if you would like me to do Mamdani next or who else you would like me to do. And you can go check out my playlist if this is the first time you're watching one of these or if you're curious to see what other kind of like political figures I've done. I don't usually talk about people outside of like politics on this. I very rarely do, simply because like people in politics have put themselves out in human design. It's called like the projection field, the field of projection, which is like they put themselves on the stage to essentially be critiqued for this. And so I kind of use this as my exception to teach you a little bit about human design and how human design kind of works and what it looks like, while relating it to these public figures that make decisions about our livelihood on a daily basis. And Donald Trump is definitely no exception to that. I used to really like him when I was a kid. And right now he is literally a gorilla. And he is so distorted in his life purpose. It was really interesting to see that. And I have my computer in front of me and my notes here, so I will be looking down because I need to know what my notes say so I can remember what I want to tell you. But his purpose and all of that is just, it's so interesting because of how he performs. And a lot of his performance has come from this privilege he has had, right? Like he has been able to stay in his distortion as well as stay out of alignment with his actual true potential because of the crowds he has kept around and because of like nepotism. He's been able to essentially depreciate everything he's put his hands on because of this privilege. And we've seen this with a lot of people, but like when you are hypothetically in this billionaire status, which he actually isn't, like, more debt allows you to get more debt. Sometimes it's like, what's a positive and negative asset? Like that's how he's gotten to where he is. Like Trump hotels are bankrupt, right? So just kind of think of it in that way, or they have filed bankruptcy in multiple places. So, it's like the perception of who he is, and company doesn't mean personal, but here he is very clear that he's had a lot of opportunity to stay minimal and small. So you're going to see the human design chart up here, and we're going to talk about it. So human design is our life purpose, and the way that I teach human design is like it's a way we act. It's not necessarily a destination, right? I say it's a way we act. It's not a destination. Our purpose is how we perform in alignment, or if we are in alignment, how we should be performing in order to get the best outcomes, in order to get the best opportunities. A part of our purpose or parts of our identity could be like titles that you hold, whether it's in your personal life or professional life. But continuing to move forward with a certain sort of action will allow more things to unfold in front of you. It'll allow more fog to clear. It'll allow you to step up and see what is around me and how can I utilize this to my benefit. So there's going to be a lot that comes out about Trump as the years continue to go on, and it will become clearer to a lot of you. So, for human design, I don't have these people's birth dates. So I do have his general birthday. He's a Gemini, which is pretty interesting, I think. But here overall, if you don't know your birth time, you can use 12 p.m. because it's in the middle of the day. If you want to get your free human design guide, you can do so off of my website. And I also do full human design readings. But let's get into Trump. So there are 5 types of people in human design. He is a manifesting generator. So he knows how to take inspired action and also is like a leader, right? So it makes sense that he's in the space of leadership right now. He got the opportunity, and as generators, when you get the opportunity to respond to something or to some interest, you take that, and that means it's in alignment. Is his position right now as the president of the United States in alignment? Yes, because everything is meant to be a catalyst in awakening, and it's really serving a huge purpose in the awakening of a planet. And a lot of the time, dark has to be illuminated through this light that the collective that is already awakened is shining on when it comes to these like paradoxes, disparities. Interesting, I say paradox because Paradox Hotel is what took over the Trump Hotel in Vancouver. But what's an illusion and a perception? So a lot of people are seeing now like what he promised has not come to fruition, right? Or, he is creating more hardship in my life. But he knows, and it's in his purpose, he knows how to create a crowd, and we're going to get to that. But as a manifesting generator, he has an equal balance of like coming up with new ideas and then like trying to follow through on it. His inner authority is an emotional solar plexus. So 50% of us on the planet have an emotional authority, which is essentially like we go through a lot of emotions and processing, and sometimes we don't know the definition of why we're going through that. But we have this sort of inkling to like maybe cry or have this anger or this release. And so he definitely has that. And a lot of his processing actually happens out loud because he's so dysregulated. So it happens on camera, it happens on TV. Like he doesn't even know what he's saying sometimes. And so it makes a lot of sense that it's just like coming through him. And as a single definition, it's like a clear funnel and a channel for him. His profile is a 1-3. In human design, there are 12 profiles. As a 1-3, he's an investigator martyr or an investigator experimenter. So he goes out into life and experiments and investigates. So he finds an idea or he finds a loophole or he finds something that he's interested in, and then he goes and experiments in that, and he kind of brings that knowledge or that base. Like that's why he's really highly networked, because of his investigation skills. And that's allowed him to, like I said, maintain a certain level of persona as well as to get to where he is, because the networking has allowed him to get connections. Because like a part of his energy when he's in alignment is like this charisma, but it was going to eventually catch up to him in some sort of areas. And like I said, over the next few years, we're going to see it shift out even more. I often get asked like, how long is he going to be in power for? And like, it feels like things are moving really fast, but there's a lot more to come out. So we're hoping for the best, and we're hoping that it's not going to be for much longer if you're already in that position of like wanting to see a shift. I know I definitely am, but every single person that steps into that office is going to play a huge role in, like in Canada, to shift consciousness. So just kind of look at it from a different layer and level. Like his time is basically phased out and done. And we need to kind of inject some new energy in there to help the collective really move forward with the collective intentions. So yeah, he's into experimenting. We know that he's tried a lot of different ventures. He has learned from those different ventures, and he will continue to try new things throughout his life. And because his level of discernment is really low, because he hasn't been checked a lot, as in like he hasn't been brought down to ground zero because of the nepotism and, like I said, the perception and illusion of who he is or who the Trumps are. He continues to like go out into the field and do more because there hasn't really been much reprimand up till now. So it'll be interesting to see whether that shifts. His right angle cross of Eden, 12-11-36-6, is where his life purpose is. So the incarnation cross is the way in which we're meant to act. And for him, it's the power of communication and emotional maturity, which is really interesting to me. It's about how his words are able to impact people. And, he gets caught in emotion, and it seems like he, like, in his purpose, wants to avoid unnecessary conflict, but kind of just creates that. Because like I said, he's dysregulated. He has the ability to create a narrative, and it says that he has respect for human emotions. But for him, it's very much like in certain categories, right? So he's not so spread out in how he is very concentrated, right? Of like where he sees himself living purposefully, as well as like the people around him keep his thoughts going because they're able to benefit off of it. And a huge part of his purpose is like knowing the right timing in his self-expression, as well as having a constant stream of thoughts and processing those ideas and thoughts and the envision for potential. But he kind of takes it and runs with it with his own kind of ego in mind. And we're going to come to that as well. But the reason why his words are really impactful and he's able to create and nurture a community, invoke certain emotions and support, is because he knows how to do that with a specific crowd. And for people to be able to realize maybe this is not resonating with me anymore. Sorry, my earrings are probably going cham, cham, cham. That has to be their own individual choice, right? To dissect that, see what narrative suits them, what emotions they want to feel, and how to move forward into the new perspective. So his power of communication is there. That's how he's been able to maintain and gather a certain reputation. And the emotional maturity piece is really funny because it's not there. He's also just underdeveloped, honestly. He's underdeveloped because he hasn't been checked, like I said. So he's been able to rely a lot on people's vision of him, people just loving him, people believing that he's going to do the right thing. But deep, deep down, he does have a respect for human emotion. Deep, deep down, he does have that ability within him to do that in the long term and to be a good kind of vessel to carry humanity forward. But right now, he is creating an opening for humanity to move forward through his missteps. And he probably won't ever do the opposite in this lifetime. He's going to come back a couple more lifetimes to truly, fully live in his purpose. So next, I'm going to talk about the gates. These are the numbers on the chart. There's 64 numbers here, and I'm just going to talk about the ones that really stood out to me as how it acts well, like basically how he shows up well in the world and how he is in alignment. His identity, his G center, which is this like diamond shape right here under his throat, is undefined. And so his identity is largely based on the validation and assurances he gets from what he speaks about. He doesn't really have a strong sense of who he is. And that's also why it's really difficult for him to be like in any sort of conviction, because again, the validation and assurances are coming external. So 17 to 62 is what I want to talk about. I only have like 6 here that I'm going to cover. He sees the possibility for future opinions and has the ability to articulate that. He knows, like what a kind of common goal is, as well as has openness for those goals. So he's probably going to listen to you, right? That's why like Mamdani and him got along, because Mamdani intuitively knew like if I articulate it a certain way and I'm able to kind of get down to his level, he'll be able to understand me. So he's very methodical and detailed, and like I said, has an actual like vision for what he wants, but doesn't know how to articulate it. So it's really hard to get to that point. So it could be a lot of people relate to like what his long-term vision would be at the highest potential. But no offense, he doesn't have the ability to be the highest potential version of himself, not in this lifetime. 35 to 36 is like he's highly susceptible, and like he's able to have a lot of change in his life. He goes through new experiences, like I said, and like goes down rabbit holes. So like I said, there's a lot of processing out loud that happens. So he's wise in his experiences. He has learned things. He knows how to create change, but he goes down these very negative spirals and loopholes in order to gather information. So if you see that he's been like saying something, then he falls off and he stops talking about a certain topic, that's because he's like looked into it enough and like kind of had a reality check, or like the energy's just shifted when he sees like, oh, this is not actually aligning in the way that I thought it would. 45 to 21, which is his like ability to hold on to resources, and to surrender and trust. Like I said, he's been able to hold on to his kind of fame and fortune because of the perception. So that's just a part of him and his purpose, and he does that well. And he like his ability to hold on to resources is more so like coming through as money. So he's going to continuously be given money or have opportunities to use money and move forward in a way that is beneficial in what he thinks is beneficial, at least. Okay, things that are not going well for him. He does not have an ability to be charismatic and unify people at the same time. Like his self-love and like ego is what supersedes his ability to be a unifier. Even like that is a subconscious thing. So in order to work through like all of the fears and doubts, he has to have a certain reflection of himself. He needs to do some mirror work, and he's never going to do mirror work in this lifetime, right? Not now, because whenever he's challenged, he doubles down and does something in order to think he's creating community, in order to get people to try to like fall in line, but it's not going to work. So his self-love is not exactly there right now. And he does not have a strong sense of empowerment and cannot multitask in order to bring people together. So once he's set on a viewpoint, he's going to be, like I said, going down that rabbit hole until the energy just completely shifts. That could be a shift within him internal, whether he consciously realizes that or not. it could be a shift in collective consciousness that creates a different outcome. Okay, so just kind of keep your eyes on that. And that's why I always say to people, when you want something to shift, keep your prayers high, keep your manifestations high, keep your visualizations high. 26 to 44, he does not have a strong ability to transmit the truth or to receive resources that are in alignment with that truth. So, certain funding may start to be cut from him because he's not moving forward with the right intention in the long term. Like, he has it, it's there really, really deep down, but people are starting to see that what they've been giving him is not leading to the transformation that they sought. And that's solely because of his ego. And like I said, he'd have to have a level of awareness to want to move past that. But it doesn't seem like it will be a part of this lifetime. It's a part of his really deep subconscious programming. And lastly, 41 to 30, it's his imagination and his intensity. Like, he has desires, he has fantasies, but his fantasies right now are really limited to how could this help me? Or the community that has been continuously reassuring me, which makes sense when it comes to a political view because people are there for their constituents, right? But when you're a president, you are looking at hopefully every single demographic, right? And that really hasn't been done yet. So his desires for having a better country or making America great again will not happen because his ego doesn't allow him to look at everybody as a whole. It's having him look at just what can be beneficial for him based on those that validate his ego, because he's just deeply in there right now. Like I said, in his next lifetime, he's going to have a little more ease in navigating this. Right now, he is very ungrounded, does not have a strong sense of self or intuition, but is continuing to learn through these experiences. So all these rabbit holes, all these spirals, all this ability, or all this like lack of articulation that you may see at times, or like, what is he trying to say? Is because he's literally just processing out loud and trying to figure out whatever it is as it's coming. On the other side, if you deeply resonate with him, I mean, people know how I feel about him, but like, this is just generally his design, right? Like, if you deeply resonate with him, that's because deep down, he does have that power to empower and unify individuals. So his very, very subconscious desire is to make things better, but it just doesn't look like what he wants to truly achieve can be done in this lifetime simply because of how many ways he's been jaded from reality. Okay. So that is Donald Trump's human design. Let me know who you would like me to do next, whether that is Mamdani or whether that is somebody else. And if you want your free human design guide, you can get that via my website. I also have supplemental guides on my website. So once you figure out what your type is out of those 5 types, you can buy a guide that gives you more information on how to live this matrix life in alignment with your type. If you want to do a mini human design reading or a full human design reading, I do those as well through my one-on-one coaching. You can also book that through my website. Make sure you're subscribed, like this video, let me know what you thought, and I'll catch you guys next time.